All right. Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. I'm Roger Graebner, Director of Marketing for Intellinex, and I want to thank everyone for spending some time with us today. We're excited to be able to share some exciting new enhancements available in the K12Doc system that we believe will eliminate some of the manual, sometimes frustrating steps of getting documents into K12Docs. We're anxious to show you how these new features will make your processes more efficient, enable you to work smarter with your time. But before we jump in, there's just a few housekeeping items that I'd like to review with you. First of all, everyone is muted. We're thrilled to see the number of people that have shown an interest in today's topics. You're in good company, as over 35% of the districts currently using K12Docs are represented by your peers that have either registered for this webinar or have scheduled one-on-one conversations with our K12Docs specialist. Because of the large number of attendees in this meeting, we're keeping everyone on mute to minimize any outside noise. But we do want to hear your thoughts and questions. So you should see a chat feature. Please submit your comments, questions anytime throughout. We'll answer those at the end during a Q&A session, but depending on the number of questions and the time that we have remaining, don't worry if you submitted something in the chat. We will be packaging all questions and answers up in a document that everybody that registered will receive after the session. Along with the FAQs, you'll get a link to the recording to share with anyone else that wasn't able to attend, and there will also be contact information from our panelists that you can reach out to directly. That'll all come at the end. By way of agenda, in a second, I'm going to introduce somebody you all know, Corey Atkinson, who will talk about the relationship, the ecosystem around Software Unlimited and what brought us all together today. Then we're going to jump into new features that we're kind of labeling as this term called intelligent document processing, that we'll go into detail about what that actually means and show you what that means for you. And then we're going to hear from Independence Community School District that's been on the system for a while, that's kind of stepped into implementation from the very beginning up to the latest features. And you'll hear how that happened, kind of a look back, as well as a look ahead at what's next for that district. And then, as I said, we're going to wrap up with a Q&A session to kind of put a bow on everything. And with that, I'm going to give the mic over to Corey Atkinson to kind of introduce the relationships.
Thanks, Roger. Hey, everybody, this is Corey from Software Unlimited. Happy you're all able to join us today. I understand there's a pretty good representation of folks joining us today, so that's wonderful to hear there's interest. Just a little quick backstory for you if you're not familiar, but when Software Unlimited decided to build K12Docs, before we even called it K12Docs, we knew we wanted an electronic document repository for the school accounting system. So we had a choice, either build something on our own from scratch, which we knew nothing about electronic document management, so it would have been pretty arrogant of us to think we did. And so we did what a lot of software companies do. We found a partner. So we spent a few years researching various companies in that space, ultimately found Intellinex. And Intellinex serves a lot of the government ecosystem across the country, from law enforcement agencies to other big state programs. And so we felt very comfortable working with them, understanding their environment and the security behind those types of things, and thought it would be a good fit for us. So we basically worked with them, borrowed their technology, customized it for the K-12 market, integrated it with the accounting platform, and called it K12Docs. So that's how we're here today. And so that relationship and partnership we have with Intellinex has evolved, and we have also been able to leverage various aspects of new technology that they have implemented in other verticals that they serve in other industries. And one of those is what Roger stated here, was the intelligent documents. So one of the biggest challenges for districts is getting paper to digital. And we've known that's a big challenge just in general. And so how can we find a way to streamline that process and automate it with some AI tools? And so that's what we're here to discuss today, to kind of show you this exciting new feature, basically an add-on solution to K12 Docs that can streamline the capture of documents for you. And as Roger mentioned, we have Carrie from Independence Community School District in Iowa joining us today. And Carrie has been close to her last name. We'll just throw an R in there. She's been crushing it with K12 Docs as well as the automated capture solution. And then we have Will Baldini from Intellinetics, is really kind of our K12 Docs specialist, sharing information about this.
Great. Thank you, Corey. All right, everyone. It's nice to be with you today. I'm Will Baldini from Intellinetics and your K12 Docs specialist. See many familiar names on the board here. So thank you for your time today. So let's briefly dive into the new feature that Corey just mentioned. All right, yeah. So today we'll be briefly showcasing in a few slides, and then Carrie will be kind of telling her story on this new integrated module for capturing all of your documents in a quicker, simpler way. So this is really, I would just think of this as an add-on to your K12 Docs that you're already using today. All right. I should have worn the best file clerk ever shirt today. I think that would have been a nice fit for me today. So that's the goal, for you to all be the best at your jobs. And so what is intelligent document processing? Let's break this apart into three parts. And that's what you're going to learn from Carrie in just a few moments. First, invoices can be digitized faster and much easier. Second, there's an optional workflow feature that you'll learn a little bit more about with automation. And third is the ability to upload all of this invoice data into SUI and batch. So that's kind of the three-part story that Carrie is going to walk you through momentarily. Additionally, you can think of, we'll be focusing on the AP and invoicing today because of the steady stream of paper and that's what's this can have a lot of traction with. But you could also use this with other types of records within K12 Docs, such as student records, personnel records, and so on. All right, so Roger, let's take a quick look at what this looks like. All right. Okay. So over on your left side of your screen, you're seeing an example of a company saying, we're going to pretend that this is showing from a high level how invoices are coming into your district. So you're initially seeing invoices coming from company. It could be emailed. So that's your first source of incoming invoices. Second source could be those invoices were sent to someone at a school and at the school, but not the district AP, or maybe even not the AP person who's handling invoices like Carrie, sent to another building. That person could then forward that email attachment to our system, just like you're seeing with the arrow. And then the third method would be all of the paper invoices that you're receiving. So those, you'd still be scanning, but you can scan in batch. Again, you can walk up to your multifunction device, or you can use your desktop scanner like you're usually using, scan all of those paper invoices all at once, send those into the system. When the system's receiving those three different types of invoices from different sources, potentially, it will then, it's going to use some magic that you saw the magic wand there, And that's where it's, it's extracting the data, and it's utilizing workflow and machine learning and AI to determine, keep everything organized and reduce all of the manual steps. And the output of all of this is that those invoices are going to be stored and accessible within K12Docs and viewable through SUI vendor profile exactly as they are today. We're just making it easier to get those documents digitized into the system, and there's some better tracking as well. Carrie will get a little bit more into. Next slide, Roger. All right. This is showing just a few examples of types of data that you can extract and scrape off an invoice when the magic wand does its thing. So it uses machine learning to determine, hey, what vendor is this? What invoice number? What's the date? How much? Any needed data, purchase order data, number, that can all be extracted electronically with the goal of, again, you won't have to do any manual data entry. There'll be, and then this can then get into SUI in a much easier way. All right. Next slide, Roger. Okay, I'm going to now transition to Carrie. Carrie, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. I know you've been using the system for about a year now, and we've got a large group of districts just like yourself on today who are hoping to hear a little bit more about your journey, maybe some of the pain points that you were trying to solve and how this has helped. So I'm going to open this up to you to tell your story.
Great. Well, I am the accounts payable representative for Independence Community School District in Independence, Iowa. I've been doing this about 2.5 years now. We started using the Intellinetics program about a year ago. We went through some time where we just kind of used part of the features to see how it worked and get used to it and things like that. We went live with our entire district at the beginning of this fiscal year. We found that by using this solution, we're going from about 3 to 5 minutes per invoice by the time that you would get the paper, scan it, upload it into SU, make sure that it's all indexed correctly, to I'm spending about a minute to make sure that each one is indexed the way that it is supposed to be. It is used by our entire district, so all of our secretaries who are approving the items and the principals. And we've just found that it has been a very good system for saving time and also for increasing accuracy. So you want to?
That's great. Thank you for sharing that, Carrie. All right. And would you, yeah, oh, here we go. All right. This is what you're seeing here. This is a quote from Janet at Independence. She wasn't able to join us today, but it's really, I think this quote was given to us maybe 6 months ago before the district had even added the workflow feature. So just adding the automated capture part of the solution, she felt that they had already gotten a tremendous amount of value out of this.
Yep, I would agree with that.
Right. All right. Workflow and alerts. So as mentioned, workflow is the second part of we can streamline scanning, workflow, and alerts, number 2. And then after this, we'll briefly cover data. Carrie, would you briefly mind talking about your phased-in approach of adding the workflow approval process?
Sure. The first thing that we did when we started using the solution was we scanned all the documents and emailed them to the AP account and let the IntelliNetics program do the indexing for us. But I did not use anything with approvals or anything like that. It was just, instead of me scanning and uploading, I scanned it to an email and let the system do all of the work behind the scenes, which that alone saved me a lot of time. I was able to have the items indexed to the invoices that I was paying much faster and a lot easier than I was doing before.
Great. And here we have, many of you are familiar with the inbox feature in K12Docs. If you're not, this is the inbox. And Carrie, I'll let you briefly explain what they're seeing on the screen.
Sure. So once you've scanned a document and you email it to ours is ap@indk12.org, it gets forwarded to IntelliNetics and it gets processed. Once it's processed, which happens a couple of times a day, it goes into this assignment inbox. This is our real life example showing on the screen. You'll see that at this point in time, we had 49 of them that were waiting to be sent out to our different buildings and secretaries and things like that for them to review and approve. So if you want to switch to the next screen then. So you go into that inbox and you choose an invoice and you set the approval group to who it is that needs to do the next approval. You verify that the index or the invoice number, the invoice date, and the dollar amount is correct. And you save it. Once it goes through all of the approvals, you'll see on the second image there that it shows who approved it and when they approved it. So that way, along with everything else, our auditors are having a permanent fixture of who it was who looked at these invoices, who approved them before they were paid, which is part of the workflow that we implemented in July, and it has been absolutely wonderful.
Nice. Carrie, do you have all invoices go through approval or just?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
We are
great.
having them all go through. So if they come in paper, we scan them and email them through.
Okay. All right.
Yep. Then once I have assigned them to the people, then the screens look the same for everybody, but then it goes to like our activities secretary. She approves it. It goes to the activities director. And once they have both approved it, then it goes into this ready for SU, which tells me that it's ready for me to enter the transactions for the invoices so that we can get the checks issued.
Great. And while we're here, I'll just mention, because I get this question all the time. Yes, you can add different buckets for invoices to go into potentially to keep things organized differently for your district. And you can have up to 4, if you do plan on using the workflow feature, you can have up to 4 levels of approval. All right. Okay. Let's go to the next slide, Roger. Okay. Data import. Carrie's now going to give a brief overview on how the district is since all the data that we've been talking about can be exported in K12Docs. And then Carrie is using SUI's invoice import template to save the district even more time, which is allowing her to focus on other important initiatives. So Carrie, would you mind giving an overview on what you're doing?
Sure. So this is what one of the inboxes looks like, and I picked a sample that had not as many items as some of the others because I didn't want to overwhelm. But you see down on the bottom, there is a blue button that says export. And if you click that, it exports all of this information that is in the inbox into a CSV file, which you then can open in Excel. If you want to switch to the next slide. And that information, we have a template that we use for importing. So I then edit this information so that it matches our template. You could also assign just, whichever fields you wanted to, but we choose to edit it. So if you want to flip to the next slide. we modify that so that it looks like this because we have it set so that a vendor ID imports from column A, our invoice number imports from column C, et cetera, et cetera. And so then we save this, go, if there's information that's not filled in, we can edit those items so that we have everything that we need. And then we go to import invoices in SU. We load this file. Sorry, excuse me. Um, we view the file. We make sure that everything looks good. SU tells us with a exclamation point if in yellow if it is possibly a conflict, like the invoices and these have already been paid, so it's double checking that. If the account number wasn't correct or something like that, it would have an exclamation point with a red triangle with it to let me know that I can't go farther. Once those look good, then I execute this file and it creates all of the invoices in SU for me.
Great. Okay. Thank you for that overview
Yep.
on the data. I know you briefly talked about this a few moments ago, Carrie, but I was hoping maybe we could, just for the districts who are potentially looking at adding this, and what from your memory of what this was like to get this stood up and on that phased approach that worked best for your district. And would you recommend that for other districts to consider that phased in, or just do it all at once?
I would. I'm going to answer Regine asked a question, asking if we could do more than one chart of account number per invoice. I see that in the chat over here. Yes, you can. What I have them do is if I have an invoice that goes to multiple charts of or multiple accounts, I have them type multiple or something like that. That will then give me an error. So then I will change that. And so if you have, it goes by an invoice number. So if you have 5 lines with the same invoice number, it will put them into one invoice in SU. So it does not take away all of the work. It just automates a lot of it. So that's how I do that is, I have my people do something that flags it, that tells me I need to look at this one a little bit harder than I'm looking at some of the others. So
That's an important point. This is AI assist, right, Carrie?
right.
That's
Right. It's
making
a
your job
tool. It's
easier.
not doing it for you. You're
Right.
not going to go away because of this system. Now, as far as implementing on a graduated basis, I thought that was very helpful for us because I'm the resource for our entire district. I wanted to make sure that I understand everything, that I know how it works, and that if there were any glitches or things that we needed to modify on our end, that was taken care of before I was asking 20 people to use it. So I did think that that was very helpful. It also helped me to catch up on some backlogged items that I had, because I was able to use older items that were not done in order to learn the process.
Wonderful. Thank you. And we'll look forward. Any future plans that you're aware of for such as student records or HR at the moment?
I am not sure. I think that HR is looking at some different options, but I'm not really involved with that too much. Student records at this point in time, we don't use K12. That doesn't mean that we won't in the future, but that's not something that we've looked at yet. I just know that with what we are using it for, we are so glad we did it.
And I did want to also mention the question comes up quite often on scanning older records that you have to keep for 5 or 7 years. So maybe can lead off our Q&A. So yes, you can. This does have would make scanning in older records a little bit easier.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Roger, time for some Q&A.
Yes, great. Corey, Carrie, and Will, thanks for that overview. We have a few minutes left, so we'll jump into some Q&A. As I said early, we're not going to get to all of them, but we will answer every one that's submitted, plus some that have come up in earlier conversations, and put that into a follow-up email that you'll all receive. Of course, the first question that often comes up is what does this cost? And maybe that's a good one to jump into, Will, and kind of give a quick explanation of how the program's priced and what it looks like currently.
Yes. So there's different tiers in terms of for an annual price. It's very reasonable. And that's something that we can definitely provide to the district, but it is based on district size. And then there's also a one-time setup fee. We're currently running some promotions on that setup fee from today through the end of December. So that $2,500 cost for the setup and training would be waived in October, 50% off in November, 25% off in December. But thank you.
Great. Thanks. Another question, does this change the way we process check batches?
No, it would not. It would be the same. And I saw there was a question on purchase orders in the chat. Carrie, did you see that question?
I do. There's a couple of different things with it. When I'm using that import function, I actually requested that Intellinetic add a field so that my secretaries can put in the PO number to connect them together, and then I import that into the system. The other part of that is if you type in an invoice manually into SU, as long as the account number, excuse me, not the account number, the invoice number and the date, as long as those two match the items that are on the scanned part of the Intellinetic thing, the files will automatically connect to each other. So instead of having to go in and scan the item, hit the plus button, upload the file and everything, it just happens automatically. So that's a couple different ways that you can do that. I kind of find that I'm about 50-50 with that between manually typing them in if they have a requisition, or letting the import function just connect them together. Depends on what it looks like.
All right, great. Thank you.
We have time for about one more. Will, do you have one you want to answer, or I have from
go ahead, Roger.
Our district has older paper invoices that need to be digitized. Will this help make that faster and easier?
Sure will. Yes is the short answer.
Yes.
All right, so it's the short one. We'll jump into one more. While I do that, I'm going to bring the next screen up so you can start to jot down the contact information as Will answers the final question. Our district is interested in the workflow feature and also uses WebLink. How will users access K12Docs to view and approve an invoice?
Carrie, are they accessing, or approvers accessing K12Docs through WebLink at your district?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
we have it set up because they've all got access to WebLink in order to do their requisitions and things like that. If you log into WebLink, there's a setting that you can make it so that you can log into K12Docs, and then it shows up in the upper right-hand corner. And so that's how we do it. There is a way to go to a website and log into K12 as well, but we find that going through WebLink is a lot easier because they already know that username and password, and you don't have to have another login.
Great. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Carrie. And Roger, will each of the attendees here be receiving a recording and some follow-up from us?
Yes. Everybody that attended, or even anybody that registered, you'll see an email coming through shortly that'll have a link to this recording. It'll have the FAQs all all outlined for you, and it will also have, this contact information. But in the meantime, feel free to reach out to Will or Carrie. She's graciously volunteered to put her contact information up there for you to reach out, peer to peer, if you would. And with that, I want to thank everybody for your time this morning. We hope you found it interesting and, a good use of your morning. And with that, we hope you have a good day.